lo and behold, I mean, a couple months ago, I got a letter from Congress stating that it is a fact that my song has saved lives around the world.
Nice to have you here. Congrats on the new record. Congrats on the first album as an independent artist too. What does that mean to you?
Man, independent debut. It's pretty fire. I kind of feel like I somehow like, so being independent and all my stuff being distributed through BMG, I feel like I robbed someone. I don't know how to explain it. I feel as though a decade, on a major label really lets you know how much artists get screwed. Um, and being here, I just have just the ultimate sense of freedom, let alone the fact that I own my masters. So it's incredible. I'm loving
Help me
it.
understand that better. So, like, you spent a decade with major labels who have a certain amount of control over you, and of course, like, take a certain percentage of the money as well. And now that you're
I
in,
mean, I never seen a dollar from a major label ever, and I was there for over 10 years. So I just said something. I made all my money through, merchandise and touring and betting on myself and building my own brand, but I've never actually seen a check, a cent from music, which is really weird.
it's going to be interesting to see, in the future, as these labels, they're so meaningful to some artists, but they also, you're not the first. How do I put it this way? You're not the first artist to say that to me.
I won't be the last, and I think if anything, I could just do the best that I can to set an example of what it means to be an artist and to take some form of control. Nobody's going to come out the gate and get a deal like I did here, like you know what I mean, like where I am now, because it just doesn't work that way. I do think that there are better deals, that artists should be given,
Yeah.
and options. Like it's kind of insane to me that the first three albums I ever released, like I'll never own them. Like I don't own them. It's like a weird thing, but it's kind of all you have. You kind of get screwed. Somebody's like, okay, listen, we're going to pay you, give you $1 million to make this album. But out of that $1 million, maybe 200,000 is your living advance. So it's not your money. You owe that money back. So it's 200,000 you owe back. Maybe your recording budget from saxophone players, string players, production, beats, samples, clearing samples, all this could cost $700,000. Then you could have $150,000 for videos, and then you could have X amount for marketing and travel and X amount. And guess what? Every single dollar has to be paid to the label. So in the end, all the money that they give you, you literally, when you sell your album, it's paying that back.
Yeah.
And then after that, you don't own any of it. What a great deal.
But like
It's
you
like,
said, but like you said, it's the deal that, like you said, the deal that you have now as an independent artist, where you
yeah,
are in control and profiting from your own music. That's not a deal that people are going to be given right out of the gate without proving themselves.
not at all. I do think that labels should be just a little nicer to the artist. That's all I'm saying. Just a little bit. Jeez. The fact that I don't own any of those things that I did. And you could say, well, like, well, you should have read the contract. No, I knew what I was doing, but it was the only option I had. It was either that or not be as successful as I could have been and am today without major backing. So it's bittersweet. I'm not upset about it by any means. And I love where I am now. And I did what I had to do to get where I'm at. I'm just making a slight observation.
I mean, I like it because it. I have been feeling reflective about your career listening to this record, and
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm glad to get a chance to reflect with you. Can you talk to me a little bit about, I guess, how music came into your life in the first place?
It came into my life as a source of therapy when I realized I could actually do it and it made me feel something. Like I remember one of the first songs I wrote. It's horrible, terrible song. And I'm like 14. And then my dad takes me to an open mic and my heart is pounding out of my chest. And I'm just like the mad rapper. I'm like red in the face and a vein in my forehead's going to explode. And I'm like, yo, it's psychological, man. And I'm just doing this whole thing. But I never will forget the feeling of like, whoa, I just like got up and like performed. I did that with other people who did it, who are way better than I am. And I was like, I really love this because it's not only an outlet on stage, but Page. It just rhymed. It's
Well,
like,
you're a rapper.
but
Come on,
yeah,
that's what
I
it
know.
is. You can't help it, you know.
It's true. But literally, dude, like it's my therapy. It's why I do it. Even when I was retired for like 6 days, I wrote like dozens and dozens of songs over 3 years that ended up being College Park. And I do it because it's my biggest source of therapy. I love it. I'm in love with it. I'm enthralled. I think the only thing I love more is my son and my wife. Honestly, that's it.
When you're taken to this open mic and you're up there and you're angry and you're red in the face and you're this crazy rapper and you're psychological and you're, you know,
Yeah.
what did the audience dig it? Did you?
Oh yeah, they thought I was dope for sure. You know what I mean? Because I was like, they did. They thought I was tight. Because they were like, who's this like little guy? I'm like 90 pounds and I'm rapping. I'm doing my thing. But then you go back next week and they're like, oh, is that kid? You know what I'm saying? That little 14-year-old kid. And I'm there with my dad. And it was really funny is my dad. His black ass is on stage playing congas and doing like, you know what I'm saying? So, and everybody knows my dad. His name is Smokey, which is a really funny name when you're a crackhead because it's like,
Yeah.
well, why would you name yourself Smokey? But the
Yeah.
fun
Right.
fact behind that is he would always, he'd be like, oh no, people always say I sound like Smokey Robinson. And I'm like, I don't know what people told you that, but you still are a crack addict. You probably should not go by Smokey, number one. But my dad is he's clean these days.
Yeah. Glad
Yeah,
to
it
hear
was
it.
just it's cool. It was a bit of a scene and it kind of we all left it out there on the stage. I've gone with friends, my brothers. It was one of the greatest times of my life.
When you say you knew it was therapy and it was therapeutic, and we're going to talk about that, like retirement and all that stuff a little bit later, but when you say you knew it was therapy, when did you know that I might want to make this my job? I might want to make this the way I, you know?
Yeah, so I was like 18, I think, and by then I had had hundreds of songs, and about 19 is when I went all in and I just realized like this is what I want to do. Now, most people look at rap, entertainment in general, rock and roll, right? It's like, oh, sex, drugs, rock and roll, man, hip hop, bitches and boats and hoes. And it's like, no, I never saw it that way. I saw it as the opportunity to build a brand. And I truly wholeheartedly believe that with persistence, determination, realism, and wanting success more than your next breath, a human being could literally attain anything. But a giant word there is realism. So when I was like, I want to be one of the biggest rappers in the world, it's not really what I said to myself. I didn't say that. Like I was like, I want to be a rapper. Like I want to be a musician. I want to make it in rap. And then I started to I was like, well, what do I like? What is it? And I'm not popping at all. Mac Miller's up there, Wiz Khalifa's popping. Kendrick Lamar's got his first mixtape out. J. Cole's got mixtapes. And I'm watching these guys and they're on YouTube and on Dat Piff, which is a spot where we would release our free mixtapes and all this stuff. And I look at what they're doing and I go, they're doing it. I can do it. If they're doing it, I can do it. And then I just started posting my own stuff, talking to, fans and friends on Twitter and building this thing while doing open mics and all that. And little by little, I started to realize, oh my God. And the biggest thing coming down to being a rapper and building a brand, I was like, there's nobody like me. I mean, let's just be real here. There's nobody. I am the blackest white guy you've ever seen in your life. Like, there is no other rapper in the game with this genetic makeup that looks like me. Okay, like it is what it is. Eminem, great, congratulations. There's many white guys before you, so it's like you're the goat. But there is no biracial guy like me. So I just like leaned into being myself. Where do I fit in? Where did I writing about that? How many people out there don't got issues? Me writing about my dad, my mother, alcoholism, abuse, like stuff that other people were scared to talk about, sexual abuse, like just the craziest shit. Nerdism, anime, video games, YouTube channels. Nobody really was doing it like that. So I was like, wow, this is it. And if I focus on being me and just double down on being me, I'm going to win. And here I am a decade later, just doubling down even more.
That's so profound to me that like you found your lane, you sort of knew what you might have that other people might not have, the parts of your life that might historically be seen as like a mark against you, you see it as like something you can take advantage of, something you can differentiate yourself with. And I find that interesting because there are parts of this record that aren't songs that I find really interesting. They're like sketches on this record that I find really interesting because you play yourself reenacting the events leading to your first performance. I want to play one of them. Take a listen.
Okay.
It's from Logic's new album, College Park. Logic's my guest. Tell me this: what's it like to reenact the early stages of your career now that you're not in those places anymore?
I don't know. We should ask Eminem. I feel like this is like my 8 Mile. It's like literally it's a biopic on an album. It's like an audio biography kind of vibe. I think the coolest part about it, if I'm being honest, is like that anybody even gives a shit. Like if I'm being real, like it's so cool that I'm at a place in my career as a rapper who's now like an older rapper at 33, which is weird to think because I'm young. But like the fact people are even excited for a story that they already know, like my diehard fans already know this story, that makes me happy because they also, it means that I've marketed it right. Because what it is it's like going to Star Wars land. You get to be a Jedi, man. You get to hang out with Luke. So it's like me and all my homies, you're in the car with us. You put these headphones on and you feel like, even just the spatial audio of where we're sitting when you put headphones on. It's incredible that I've been able to bring these fans on this journey with me, let alone the fact that I'm lucky enough to say I've made it out of that and can now, if I'm going to be honest,
Yeah.
there's a kind of an underlining thing, and I'm kind of realizing it right now.
Yeah.
Of presence. I was never present in the basement because I was broke as shit. Like I
Yeah.
was hungry, I was starving. I wasn't like, this is awesome. I was like, I got to get the hell out of here. I need mixtapes, and then after the mixtapes I gotta get a deal, and then after the deal I gotta put out an album, and after the album I gotta go on tour, and after the tour I gotta do another album, and after and then it's like, and then I gotta go gold, and then after I'm gold I gotta go platinum, and then after platinum it's gotta be, and it just never ends, right? And that's what my life was for 10 years. I was so focused on the future that it truly was at the expense of the present. Now, that doesn't say that I didn't have good moments, down to earth moments that I remember. Of course I do, but not like I should have and not like today. And so now in this second renaissance of my own career, this act 2 in a Tarantino film that is Logic, I am sitting here with you so hype that you want to talk to me. Like, I don't take this for granted. I'm like, yo, this is dope. I'm still doing it. Wow, look. And so I'm here. I'm at the BMG office. I'm surrounded by incredible people that are on my team and that care about me. And I don't take any of it for granted. Now, on my come up, I'm not saying that I didn't take it for granted, but I was just so focused on the future that I couldn't appreciate what it meant. And in a way, a decade later and 3 years of working on this album, it's kind of like my Michael Jackson Neverland Ranch, but without like any weird stuff that was going on. It's like I got to like create this space where I got to almost relive those moments that I couldn't be so present for back then in a way. And it's really
And what's that feeling like? Because is it like going into your old house that you grew up in? Is it like what is the feeling like of reenacting a thing that you weren't present for? What is that feeling like?
it is kind of like that because it's not exactly the same. Some of it's exaggerated, just like we do with memories, right? It's a real
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
We could be so certain that like this is how something happened,
Yeah.
and then your mom could be like, dude, what are you talking about? That
Yeah.
happened on like a TV show you watched,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so, but for the most part, yes, the feeling was awesome because my buddy Castro was in fucking jail for like 4 years. He's in prison. So we hadn't talked for like 6 years, and then he got locked up, and this was my best friend in the basement. And then, he changed his life around, his perspective and his mental state. And I love this man. Like I couldn't be more proud of him, because he really pissed me off. And I never wished any ill on him at all, but he just was like not a good person for a while. He went from this really special guy to kind of a piece of shit, if I'm going to be honest. And then he went to prison and thought about some shit and got out and apologized, which is something he never does. And ever since, he used to lie. He was just a liar. He's just whatever, just dumb shit. And he's just not. He's that's not who he is now. And I couldn't be more proud of him. He's honest. He's open, even if it's something that one could be find disappointment in an action or this or that. And the fact that he's so open and vulnerable now have allowed us to be brothers even closer. Let alone Lenny, who housed me when I was homeless and had nowhere to live in that basement that is the album cover, let
Yeah.
alone Six, that dropped out of med school, was pre-med, going to be a doctor. He's Indian. So his parents were like, fuck the fuck. Like, they were like, no, like, he's going to be a doctor. And they let him come to LA with me. Like, yes, man, in a way, I'm reliving this, and the feeling is euphoric and funny. And it's like, wow. And my DJ boss player, the first DJ I ever had that I met at the University of Maryland doing the hip hop corner where I used to go do freestyles. Like, I brought all these people together, let alone the guy Gravity Orlando, who was my very first photographer and videographer, that so poetically, over a decade, almost 15 years later, his shot of me in the basement becomes the album cover. I mean, it's kismet, man. You can't make the shit up.
It's a really, really beautiful story. I mean, yeah, Kevin Smith's involved with this record, the music video for, like, and I'm sure that was a big part of your life growing up too. That
Yeah.
is sort of a return.
Dude, Seth MacFarlane, like, if he getting Seth MacFarlane, the voice, the creator of Family Guy, American Dad, Cleveland Show, Ted, one of my favorite singers in the world, and he's just on this singing, like, what? Like with Redman and Static Selecta, and then you have Seth MacFarlane singing like Sinatra. Bro, I gotta kick myself in the head sometimes. I can't believe how lucky I am. This is what?
Can I ask about the come up, as you were talking about earlier? Like, I don't know your story as well as the hardcore fans do, so help me out a little bit with this. My understanding of it, from being familiar with your music over the years and doing a bunch of research to get ready for this today, and like knowing your music, and especially here in Canada, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, is that you had gone through incredible hardship. You had been surrounded by violence, and you had been surrounded by really challenging situations. One of the things you get branded as, in addition to all the things you mentioned before, is sort of an optimistic rapper. Your music gets talked about in a very optimistic way. My question was, is that a choice to find yourself surrounded by kind of hard things in your life? Is that a choice to say, I'm not really going to talk about that as much as I want to focus on other things? I want to focus on positivity.
You know, I think that's a really incredible way to look at it. I agree. And I also think I actually leaned into a lot of the depiction of the negativity, but more so how to get out of it as well. So I think, as equally as I talk about it's okay, you can make it, I also talk about what you can make it through. Sometimes it's a generalization, because guess what, man? We all got problems, and champagne problems are still fucking problems. So it's kind of about how you word something. You know what I mean? I've got records where I talk about, yeah, I'm rapping about, sexual assault, witnessing my mother getting beaten bloody, my dad doing drugs, guns in and out of the house, drugs, cooking crack, like the craziest stuff. Now, a lot of people probably can't relate to that. So I have to always tell my truth and be honest. But then on another song, instead of being like, man, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this roach infested crack house, I'll be like, man, I really want to follow my dreams, but sometimes it feels like it's hard. And it's a more of a generalization. So I definitely focused on the optimistic side of things. But if I'm being even more transparent with you, bro, like, I started, as I said, it was very therapeutic. So I'm writing rap songs like, yo, you can get out of it. You can make it no matter what you're going through, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, you can be great. I wasn't talking to anybody. There was nobody listening to me.
You're
I was
talking to
just
yourself.
recording music. I was talking to myself. I'm saying, you can do it, bro. You can, because there was nobody there to tell me that. And then lo and behold, oh my goodness, I start getting fans and they're like, thank you for your music. Like, that means so much to me. Thank you for telling me that I can make it out. And in my mind, I'm like, I never told you that. And then I was like, oh shit. Like, I realized what just happened. And then, I meet fans who start saying things like, you saved my life. And I'm like, what? I saved your life? How could I ever save your life? And then they give me examples and then they talk about it. And then I go, well, could you imagine if I actually wrote a song and tried to save your life? And then we have 1-800. So it's like, I think all art is from the most selfish, one of one in the mirror place. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you're, Da Vinci or Prince. Like, you're doing your art for you.
The doing your art for you can be both like, I need to tell myself that I can keep going when I find myself in a precarious situation. It can also be quite literal. There's a line on your record that really jumped out to me. It's on Wake Up, and you write about having a gun in your hand and realizing you don't want to be that person and turning to writing instead. What is it? It's like, I had a gat in my hand.
I had the gat in my hand, but I didn't want to be that man. Look in the mirror, couldn't see that man. Pick up the pen, never stick up the men, only pick up the stick if I need to defend. If I did it back then, might have dropped dead. So yeah, it's basically like taking that leap and realizing in the moment that something is wrong, which is very odd because I don't know where that comes from. A lot of people, they say like, how did you know? Your brothers are running around shooting guns and selling drugs. How did you? And I was like, dude, I don't know. I just saw that and was like, this isn't right. Somebody put a gun in my hand and I held it, shot it. I was like, oh no. You know what I mean? Like, oh, cooking drugs. No. Seeing, my sisters come home after being raped by their boyfriends that are also killers and drug dealers. And I'm like, oh no, this is not how you treat a woman at all. You know what I mean? And I'm a little boy. And I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I mean, I say it's a God and common sense, and I'm not even a religious man. I believe in something bigger than myself for sure. You know what I mean? But it's not a white guy on a cloud.
There was something floating around you metaphysically or something like that that you managed to latch onto, which let you know some of this stuff isn't right. And I need a way out, and I think writing might be the way out.
Yeah, I guess so. I honestly, to this day, I hope I have a more clear idea and understanding the older that I get, but it's kind of been the same shit for a decade of me being like, I don't know, man. It's like, I don't know. Like, I wish I could, but it's almost just like with my mother, she was so abusive physically, mentally, she would just do and say things that don't make sense. My mom hit me with the N-bomb with the hard R. Me and all my brothers and sisters were all from black men. It's like, just ask yourself, what kind of a woman would call her children this word, yet she's obviously in love with black men. It's systemic due to her, the racism in her family. And people will be like, that doesn't even make sense. And I'm like, I know it doesn't make sense. This is also how I feel about making it out of my situation, seeing, somebody do something wrong and going, oh, you don't do that. That doesn't make sense to me. Monkey see, monkey do, bro. So the fact that I didn't do, I don't know.
Do you ever look at your kid and realize what a different upbringing they're going to have than the one you had?
Every day, bro. Like literally, I look at my son and I have memories from when I was my son's age.
How old's your son? Can I ask?
Yeah, he's 3.
Yeah.
And I have memories of, my mom half naked and bloody being dragged down the stairs by the police, like the craziest stuff. And I also think like being in drug infested households, cigarette smoke everywhere, drugs being cooked, you know what I mean? All this in my little cute little lungs as a baby. And I look at my son and I'm like, dude, how could they have done that to me? You know what I mean? But I don't dwell on it too much. That's the other thing. I don't like stress. Like, yes, of course, I got problems. I got issues. I wish my dad threw catch and, took me fishing. It didn't happen. but I don't dwell on it. I'm not like, oh my, you bastard, and that, like, and I'm just like, bro, it didn't happen. What can I do? I can't do shit. You know what I can do? Do the best that I can to break the cycle and play catch with my son. Like, that's all I can do. I can't just sit here and just reminisce and reminisce and reminisce like I'm in Nam. I can't. I'm like every step. I'm like, I gotta get back to the shit, man. Like it's like, no, dude. Like just let it go.
Yeah.
Focus on the present. Be
Yeah.
blessed with what you have, and that's it, dude.
Well, and the other thing you can do, and you referenced this earlier, is try to use your story to help other people. So, can you fill in the blanks for what you were talking about before? Like, it's worth talking about 1-800, not just because it's a really massive, gigantic song. This is the song, for people who don't know, the song you did named after the phone number for the American National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Also, we have a particular affinity for it here because it featured Alessia Cara, who's from Brampton, Ontario. This is a Canadian show. We're really, really proud of Alessia. But you were saying that I don't know the story of how you wrote the song. You wrote it because you had gone through some stuff and you wanted to figure out, like, what would it sound like if I wrote a song that helped people?
It was 2015. I got a tour bus. My second album was 2 weeks away from coming out, called The Incredible True Story, and the narrative was mainly based around some sci-fi, fun, futuristic, nerdy space shit because I was really, just leaning into being me even more than ever. And on this tour that I did, it was a fan tour where I took this bus from Los Angeles to New York City. And I went to see fans all over the country, surprising them, eating with them, their families, playing them the music. And I mean, like a majority of these people, after I played the album, were like, your music saved my life. And then they went in to describe, like, and truly explain why and how and where they were. And I was just so inspired by this. I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, I did not try to save your life. And in a way, they were like, and that's why it's so powerful. You were just being yourself. You know what I mean? Now, with this knowledge, I was like, I want to do something special. And so I'm working on my third album after this, called Everybody. I had already begun it. It's like I'm always albums ahead, honestly. And I remember putting in a lot of work and I had this idea, and it was originally just called Suicide. Cliche, whatever, to the point. That's what I was going to call it. You know what I mean? And it was the last song. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this because I'm the type, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I'm a very sensitive person. So it's like, if I'm going to write a record like this, tears will be shed. Like, it's going to be very difficult. You know what I mean? From my own, just experience around the subject to others, and just hard times. It's going to be a difficult thing to write. And I remember it's the last song and I wrote it, and I thought about, I didn't even think, no, I was never like, I gotta make this catchy. Like, literally, bro. Like, I'm making a song about suicide. Nobody's like, it's about to go off in the club tonight. Like, nobody's thinking that. Okay. So, and I remember the only thing that people really thought about the song when it was all said and done was how special it was. People were like, wow, that's a special one on the album. But nobody was like, oh, and I'd been chasing the radio for years and years, every album, making songs I didn't even really like. I was just kind of, oh, what's Schoolboy Q doing? Or what's so-and-so doing? Because I'm young and I'm just trying to be, I just want to hit record for whatever reason, even though I had hit albums. That was what I was so lucky, is like I had hit albums with a fan base and I was catering to that base. And then when I basically was like, screw it, I'm over it. That's when this song, that my manager, Chris, actually was like, you should call it by the phone number, by the National Lifeline. And I was like, that's genius because we could really help people. And lo and behold, I mean, a couple of months ago, I got a letter from Congress stating that it is a fact that my song has saved lives around the world. You know what I mean? And that I can't believe it. And I'm going to be honest. There was a time when I was upset that this was my song, because I don't think it matters who you are when you have like your first big hit. I think you hate it,
Yeah.
because it's just all the time, all the time, all the time. But this was deeper, man. This was, oh my God, Logic, I tried to kill myself. Logic, I tried to kill myself. Logic, my brother tried to kill himself. My sister killed herself. My dad killed himself. My dad, and everywhere I go, it's just death and death and death and death and death.
And that's hard on you. Like, that you have to carry that.
Yeah, bro, because I'm empathetic, so I'm like, damn, this is like really hard to deal with. But especially time away and through COVID and all this, I'm like, I And I got hits, I got records with Eminem, I
Yeah,
got
you do.
songs
Yeah,
by
you're doing okay.
myself,
Yeah, yeah.
but I love that I'm going to be known as the mental health guy and the guy with a positive message for the rest of my life. I am honored.
It's a beautiful song. It's a really powerful song, and
Yeah.
I would know some of the people who would be affected by it as well. And well, again, we were also happy with it. We were just so happy that Alessia became a part of it too. And it was nice to hear her on the radio every day. What happened with what happened with the retirement?
Yeah, so 2020, I had my baby and I was just over the internet. If I'm gonna be honest, I kind of got bullied off the internet. I'm just gonna be real. Like
Bullied by who about what?
just media, just like, it's just always some shit. It's, I hope your baby dies, your wife's ugly, blah, blah,
You're
blah.
kidding
I'm
me,
just like,
really?
yeah, yeah, of course. And I'm just
Awful.
seeing this all the time. Oh, you fell off, you fell off. I got I have almost $10 million in property alone, let alone investments I've made and all this other. Yes, I fell off. Yeah, like but you see this every day, all the time. I remember selling out Madison Square Garden and hearing logic, logic, and I get off the stage and I'm on a high and I go to my phone because I'm addicted. I go to my phone and my timeline's like, "You're trash, you're ass, you're garb, you suck, and it's like this juxtaposition of Madison Square Garden and my in the internet, and I was like, I need to get the fuck
And you're like,
away
the
from
internet
here.
might be
So
right.
I called,
You're like, I just sold out Madison Square Garden, but maybe
but the internet
the
might,
four strangers are right. Yeah.
it's a real thing, man. But this is, mind you, this is also like 4 years ago.
Yeah, of
So
course,
it's
of course, of course.
big different a mental state here. But yeah, I just needed a break. And I think for me, I was convinced I was retired, but it was more so like from the bullshit of the internet in a way. I don't know. It was a really weird few years, especially through the pandemic, but I came out the other side realizing like what matters and what doesn't. I'm a human being. If people say things about me, it's going to hurt. It's who I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
But what I am in charge of is how much it hurts and how long it hurts. And this is something I'm saying in every interview that I'm doing, all this, whenever I'm talking about this, it's very important. Like I used to be so upset with myself that negative comments would hurt me. Of course they're going to hurt, dude. I'm not a robot. And that makes me even happier. And so through therapy and time and realizing that my son is healthy and my wife is healthy, and that's truly all that matters, I've just found a level of peace that I could have never dreamed of.
And that's useful for me, man. I've never thought about that before. I get negative comments on a lot. And I've, up until now, thought, because people will say to me when I show them and I'll be like, oh, yeah, this thing, they'll make me feel bad that it bothered me. They'll make me feel bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've had to do it in hip hop. I get it, bro. Like it sucks. Like there's people that's like, hey man, you rap, you gotta have tough skin. Oh yeah, really? Literally, when like, bro, I've seen comments where so I'm in a video game, right? One of my favorite video games of all time is called The Last of Us. There's a new show out. It's
Yeah,
recently
yeah.
popping.
Huge.
Yeah, and in the second game, I mean I played this game for like 10 straight years. And then in the second game, I got to be this character and I'm killed by the main character and you get the best gun in the game off my dead body, which is epic. Okay. And I read this comment, somebody was like, "Oh, dope, I killed Logic." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's kind of funny, whatever." But then the comment underneath was, "No, unfortunately, it wasn't in real life."
Oh, fine.
Damn.
Oh,
Like
boy.
that's like some deep shit, you know what I mean? But I'm like, who gives a fuck? Like you just got to let it go, man. You got to let it go. And this is what I subject myself to because I'm in the public eye. But the thing is how you navigate it. I'm not on the internet. I'm not in comments. I'm not, and I used to be, man. I used to be on Reddit. I
Yeah.
used to like really go into this world. Now I don't. Sure, if I drop a new video, I'll go see the first 10 comments on a YouTube because it's my fans and I want to fucking be loved. I put it out for them. I put
Yeah.
it out for them to be like, good job. You know what I mean? And so I'm gonna go check that out. And every now and again, I'll check out a new video or this or that just to get that little bit of love that I do need as an artist, as opposed to what I used to really do, which was just ignore the love because the love is so much that I was looking for the negativity. And the reason I was looking for the negativity is because it was like I wanted to fight with it or even internally prove why I belong or I did all this when it's just like, dude, none of what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
why
No,
are
no,
you
no.
focused on this? People love you, bro. Just chill. Go smoke a joint.
You've talked to me about a lot of different things that you could be really proud of. having a kid, taking back your mental health, taking back your sense of validation, getting out of a really bad situation you were sort of born into, helping out other people. But the feeling I get is that now that we have an opportunity to look back, the thing that you are most proud of, that would be the thing that I would be interested to know.
I would have to say that I'm most proud of who I am as a person. I'm not perfect, I'm flawed, but I'm a fucking good person. I'm funny. I care about the people that I love. I'm me, man. I'm me. And even when it was hard to be me and I was scared to be me, I was still me. Even if I was a little quiet or didn't speak up as much or speak my mind. I'm proud that they didn't break me, man. That's what I'm most proud of. They tried, the world, not rap, hip hop. Hip hop's a beautiful place. But the world, they really tried, man. And there was days when I thought they did. I thought they did. I felt like they did, but they didn't. And I'm most proud that I woke up every day and kept going.
I really like talking to you, man. Thanks so much for making the time.
Thank you for a wonderful interview. I hope we get to do this again. And this was really special. Thank you for asking me legitimate, awesome, meaningful questions. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Man, I could talk to you all day. You should come to Toronto. When do you come to Toronto?
I don't fucking know, but whenever I do, let's kick it.
Come on in. We'll fucking hang out. We'll eat fried chicken sandwiches. It'll be great.
All right.
You
I
kidding
like
me?
that.
Yeah, it'll be all right. It'll be pretty good.